Meet Hannah, a devoted mother and former housekeeper whose life turns upside down when she agrees to become a surrogate mother to save her critically ill son. But fate plays a cruel joke on her, and what she discovers is a dark secret surrounding the supposedly tragic death of her husband. What will she do when she realizes that everything she believed in was a pure lie? What if from the very beginning her entire identity was a fabrication? Friends, we bring you another gripping tale, a story that will surely captivate you and leave you with a valuable lesson. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to support our channel. Let's begin the story of Hannah's life. Good morning, baby Julian. Do you miss your daddy? Don't worry, my sweet boy. Your daddy is always with us. Hannah happily played with the tiny hands of her 1-month-old son. If only your father were alive, baby. He would be so happy to see you so active and healthy. A hint of deep sorrow laced Hannah's voice as she carried her son back into the nursery of the sprawling Long Island estate. He fell asleep right after she fed him. As Hannah turned around, she saw Leo staring at her with a soft smile. Leo was the older brother of her late husband, Elijah. She simply gave him a polite nod as she walked past him. "Is baby Julian asleep?" Leo asked Hannah with a warm smile. "Yes, Leo. I'm going to put him in my room so I can start my shift for the day," Hannah replied, leaving Leo watching her walk away. "What's wrong, Leo? Regretting that Hannah's beauty will never be yours? Well, your brother Elijah is dead. You can easily take his place now," Rose sneered as she descended the grand, sweeping staircase. She was Leo's wife. "Are you losing your mind again, Rose?" The smile instantly vanished from Leo's lips as he snapped back at his wife. "The way you look at her, Leo, it's disgusting. You practically have your eyes glued to that woman's face." "I am your wife, Leo, but you have never looked at me like that, not even once," Rose yelled. "Stop with your nonsense, Rose. Don't take your insecurities out on Hannah. I was just happy looking at my nephew. Maybe it's because you absolutely refuse to get pregnant. We've been married for a year, but until now, you won't even consider giving me a child. When are you going to stop taking those birth control pills?" Leo retorted. "I already told you I don't want to give birth. Leo, what did you tell me before we got married? You said it was fine, right? You said it was okay if we didn't have kids, that it would just be the two of us. Why are you suddenly so desperate for a child?" Rose demanded, her voice dripping with annoyance. "We're getting older, Rose. I'm already 35. But we still don't have a child because you refuse. Do you really not want even one? Aren't you jealous of Elijah and Hannah? They have a son while we still have nothing. I told you I don't want kids. I don't want to compete for your attention. And I refuse to ruin my figure, Leo. Have you forgotten I was a pageant queen? I'm an Instagram model and an influencer. What am I supposed to do when pregnancy destroys my body? And how dare you compare me to that? Hannah, she's just a former housekeeper that your brother was stupid enough to marry while I am a wealthy model. Do you really want me to end up looking like some low-class local woman?" Rose shook her head in disbelief. She hadn't expected to end up fighting with Leo over having a baby. She wasn't done with her grand plans yet, so she couldn't afford to divorce him. Is that really how shallow your view on motherhood is, Rose? All I'm saying is, we need an heir. Who is going to inherit everything I've built at the company if we don't have a child? I thought we understood each other. Fine, Leo. If you really want a child, we can adopt. Or we can hire a surrogate mother to carry the baby for me. You know I can't handle pregnancy, Leo. I could literally die carrying your child, Rose said dramatically. A surrogate? Rose, are you sure? Yes, I am certainly not carrying it. Leo, giving birth is agonizing. My gosh, what if I die on the delivery table? What if my figure is permanently ruined? What if I gain too much weight or get stretch marks? I'd never be able to wear a bikini in Malibu again. No, no, no. I cannot get pregnant. We will hire a surrogate mother to carry our child, Rose insisted, working hard to convince her husband. Rose, finding a reliable surrogate is a long, difficult process, Leo argued. I don't care. We'll look for one and we will find one. Okay. Fine. If this is what you really want, we will get a surrogate to carry our child. Left with no other choice, Leo agreed to Rose's demands rather than growing old childless. Yes, so let's never fight about this pregnancy thing again. It's clear to you now, Leo, I am not getting pregnant. Rose shook her head, clinging to her husband's muscular arm. If that's what you want, I will start looking for an agency to find a surrogate willing to carry our child for 9 months, Leo stated. A massive weight was lifted off Rose's chest. She couldn't bear the thought of her body being ruined by childbirth. Most women she knew lost their perfect figures, and Rose was terrified of that. She considered herself far too beautiful and sexy to walk around with a swollen belly. But I want someone completely clean to bear our child. I don't want you just picking up some random desperate woman off the street, especially not some dirty girl from a nightclub. Leo nodded, agreeing to Rose's conditions. Leo couldn't help but smile sweetly at the thought of finally having a child. He would have an heir, his own flesh and blood. But even so, Leo couldn't deny the fondness he felt for Hannah's son. The baby was incredibly cute and wiped away all his exhaustion from the corporate world. It had only been a month since Elijah died in a horrific car crash. His car's Bolzad had supposedly failed on the highway. He crashed into a massive semi-truck, and the vehicle exploded. Elijah's severely burned body was found inside the wreckage. He left behind Hannah completely devastated and alone. Hannah was originally a housekeeper in the Vance estate, before the youngest Vance son Elijah fell in love with and married her. Now Leo felt a deep sense of pity for her. He could feel the agonizing pain she carried over losing her husband. Fortunately, Hannah was a strong woman. She refused to let the tragedy break her, moving forward with her life for the sake of her son Julian. One night, the baby wouldn't stop crying. Unable to ignore it, Leo went to check on the mother and child in their room. "Hannah, what's happening to the baby?" Leo asked, anxiously peeking into the room. "I don't know, Leo. I really don't know what to do anymore. It feels like my baby is in pain. His fever is so high," Hannah cried, cradling her son. "Give him to me." Leo took the baby from Hannah and tried to soothe him, but the infant continued to wail. "Leo, please help me. I need to take him to the ER. I'm terrified, something is really wrong." "Okay, I'll go grab my SUV keys. We'll take Julian to the hospital right now," Leo said, panicking alongside her. Meanwhile, on the second floor of the mansion, Rose clenched her fists. She watched her husband scrambling in a panic over Hannah's crying baby. Rose gritted her teeth in pure hatred. Leo had always had a soft spot for this former housekeeper, just like his younger brother Elijah. Truth be told, Elijah was the one Rose originally wanted. She was devastated when she found out he was marrying another woman while she was modeling abroad in Europe. She flew back to New York with the intention of stealing Elijah back from the maid, but Rose was deeply insulted when she saw how madly in love Elijah was with a woman who was just the family's staff. So to get close to Elijah and make him jealous, she seduced Leo and succeeded on that front. But even now, her husband remained too close to the widow Hannah. "You're just a maid, Hannah. You aren't even a speck of dust on my designer shoes. What gives you the right to wrap both the Vance brothers around your little finger? A few tears from you and my idiot husband goes crazy," Rose muttered to herself as she marched down the stairs. "And just where do you think you two are going?" Rose asked, her hands on her hips, blocking Leo and Hannah's path. "We're taking baby Julian to the hospital, Rose. He's very sick," Leo answered hesitantly, pulling Hannah toward the front door. "Not so fast, Leo. Why are you the father of that child to be acting so worried? What business is it of yours? What happens to that woman's son?" Rose fired off angrily. "My baby is sick. Leo is just giving us a ride to the ER." Rose Hannah answered, tears welling in her eyes. "We have a chauffeur. Why does my husband need to be the one to drive you?" Rose sneered. "Are you insane, Rose? Move out of the way." "Hannah, let's go. Before something worse happens to baby Julian." Leo pulled Hannah out the door. "Leo, if you walk out of this house with her, I will never forgive you," Rose screamed. But instead of being intimidated, Leo just threw her a look of pure disgust and walked out. Rose's chest heaved with rage, but alongside the anger, she couldn't entirely shake off a twinge of worry for the baby. However, her jealousy was much stronger. Furious, she pulled out her phone and called her mother-in-law, Eleanor. "Mom, when are you coming back from Palm Beach? I am so furious right now." "That maid is throwing herself at Leo again," Rose whined to her mother-in-law. "What? What is Hannah doing now, Rose?" Eleanor demanded, her tone instantly sharp. "Mom, she's seducing my husband. She's always trying to get Leo's attention. She's using her baby just to get closer to him. And Leo is so obsessed with the kid that he's falling right into her trap. Mom, I'm so scared. After she stole Elijah from me years ago, now she's going after Leo. Have my sons learned absolutely nothing? What do they even see in that lowly housekeeper? I'm going to have a heart attack because of these boys," the older woman shouted through the phone. A wicked smile formed on Rose's lips as she heard Eleanor hyperventilating on the other end of the line. Rose added a few fake sniffles to sound like she was crying, even though she wanted to laugh at how easily her mother-in-law was manipulated. "Mom, what am I going to do? Don't you worry, sweetie. I am flying back tomorrow, and that woman is going to pay." She is dead to me, Eleanor promised. Thanks, Mom, Rose smirked. Meanwhile, Hannah spent a day at the hospital. It turned out to be a viral fever due to the changing East Coast weather, and Hannah was endlessly grateful that Leo, her late husband's brother, didn't abandon her. He was there to support her, especially by covering the expensive ER bills. Leo was a good man, just like Elijah. Leo drove her back to the estate and then headed straight to the Vance Enterprises corporate office in Manhattan. Hannah was shocked when, upon walking through the front door, a designer handbag came flying at her head, thrown by her mother-in-law. Thankfully, she dodged it. Otherwise, it would have hit her right in the face. It's about time you showed up, you manipulative tramp. Now you're trying to seduce, Leo, Eleanor screamed. Mom, Julian had a high fever, so I took him to the ER. I am not seducing Leo. He just offered to help me and my son out of the goodness of his heart. He was just worried about the baby, Hannah explained defensively. Eleanor narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing Hannah. But the older woman sighed. Her expression softened slightly when she saw her grandson resting in Hannah's arms. How is the boy, she asked, her tone still sharp but less hostile. Baby Julian is okay now, Mom. He just caught a fever because of the sudden weather change. But he's fine. We caught it early because Leo rushed us to the hospital. Hannah answered with a tired smile. Take good care of my grandson, Hannah. Baby Julian is the only living memory I have left of Elijah. Although I never wanted you to be my son's wife, there's nothing I can do about it now. He was stubborn, and you two had a child. I can't kick you out of this house. Give me my grandson. I missed him. I was on vacation for 2 weeks, Eleanor said, finally offering a small smile. Baby, go to your grandma. She just wants to hold you. Hannah happily handed the baby to her mother-in-law. Despite everything, Hannah was glad to hear Eleanor finally somewhat accept her. The matriarch was strict and elitist, but she had a decent heart deep down, much like her son's. In this massive estate, only Rose possessed a truly rotten soul, treating Hannah like dirt she could step on whenever she pleased. Thankfully, Rose wasn't home yet, or else there would undoubtedly be another barrage of jealous insults flying from her mouth. Another month passed. Leo and Rose fought almost daily over the search for a surrogate. Rose rejected every single candidate the upscale Manhattan surrogacy agency presented to them. To make matters worse, Rose's daily jealousy toward Hannah escalated. Leo had become even closer to his nephew, so Rose constantly plotted to ruin Hannah, until one day she orchestrated a master plan to destroy Hannah in the eyes of the Vance family. Mom, I swear I saw Hannah sneaking into your master suite yesterday, Rose reported to her mother-in-law. Rose, don't say things like that. Hannah has been in this house for years. She has never stolen anything, Eleanor scolded. Well, if she didn't steal your jewelry, who did? Donna, or Abby, Rose said, pointing to the two estate maids. Oh no, ma'am, I could never do such a thing. I've worked for Mrs. Vance for a decade, Abby cried defensively. Forgive me, Mrs. Vance, but I also saw Hannah coming out of your room yesterday, Donna lied, taking Rose's side. Hannah, did you take my jewelry? That diamond necklace is priceless to me. Elijah bought it for me before he died. If you wanted jewelry, I would have bought you some at Saks Fifth Avenue. Just give it back. It's my memory of my son, Eleanor pleaded. I didn't do it. I am not a thief. What would I even do with a diamond necklace? Hannah blurted out, shocked. Donna, Abby. Go search Hannah's room. I am sure I saw her slip something into her pocket yesterday. I was just in a rush, so I didn't say anything. I never thought you'd stoop this low, Hannah Rose said smoothly, acting as if she were absolutely certain. Hannah remained calm, allowing Donna and Abby to search the room she used to share with Elijah. Aside from 2 modest jewelry sets Elijah had given her, she knew they wouldn't find anything. Ma'am, we found these in Hannah's room, Donna announced, walking out with a velvet jewelry box. Elijah gave those to me, Hannah said confidently, but her jaw dropped when Rose opened the box, revealing not only Hannah's pieces but the exact diamond necklace Eleanor was looking for, along with 2 of Rose's expensive bracelets. Those aren't mine. How did those get in my jewelry box? Hannah gasped in disbelief. Give me those bracelets. And here is the necklace I was looking for. This is incredibly important to me, Hannah. How could you do this to us? Eleanor said, her voice trembling with betrayal. Mom, I don't know. I am not a thief. I would never do that to you, Hannah insisted fiercely. How dare you lie to us, you traitor. You really robbed us blind. Well, what else should we have expected from someone like you? You were just a maid that Elijah was stupid enough to marry. I don't even know how you tricked him. You're not even that pretty and you scrubbed floors. Rose sneered suddenly, lunging forward and pulling Hannah's hair. Why did you do it, Hannah? What if you get kicked out of the estate? Where will you go, especially with a baby? Have you no shame? Donna the maid chimed in. Donna is right. Mom just kicked this trash out to the curb. She's useless here anyway. And look, she's a proven thief. Rose's eyes gleamed with malice. Mom, please don't kick us out. I have nowhere else to go. Have mercy. I really didn't steal anything, and I can't work a normal job yet because Julian is too young. No one will watch my son, Hannah begged the older woman. You're going to keep lying even when you were caught red-handed. Fine, you leave. But you're leaving Julian with me, Rose snapped. What? No, that will never happen, Rose Hannah cried, stepping back. I truly cannot fathom how Elijah fell for you, Hannah. You're just a thieving maid. Knowing you, you probably trapped Elijah. I bet that kid isn't even his, Rose yelled. You are crossing the line, insulting my dignity, Rose Hannah yelled, a surge of intense emotion taking over as she slapped Rose hard across the face right in front of Eleanor. You bitch, Donna, grab her, I'm going to kill her, Rose shrieked, holding her stinging cheek. That's enough, Rose, Eleanor's booming voice silenced the room. Hannah, you will stay here. But starting today, you will go back to your old duties. You will help the staff clean this house. Rose is right. You were just a maid. And no matter what Elijah did to elevate your status, you will always belong at the bottom because that is what you are used to. The words cut like a knife. No one believed her except herself. What do you mean, Mom? Hannah asked, her voice breaking. Do not call me Mom ever again. I no longer accept you as Elijah's widow. You will address me as Mrs. Vance, and starting today you return to being a housekeeper here. Donna, pack Hannah and Julian's things from the master wing. Move them to the staff quarters in the basement, Eleanor ordered coldly. Hannah's tears fell silently. It was better than being thrown out on the streets with her son. She had no money and her body was still weak, having given birth only months ago. She had no family left to return to either. Since her grandmother Betty died, her biological mother Claire, who also worked as a housekeeper for the wealthy Sterling family in Manhattan, wanted nothing to do with her. In the days that followed, Rose strutted around triumphantly. She loved seeing Hannah in a maid's uniform again, scrubbing floors. To Rose, Hannah was dirt that needed to be swept away. But things still weren't perfect for Rose. She and Leo fought constantly about the surrogate issue, and she rejected every woman the agency sent. Until one night, the unthinkable happened to Hannah. Suddenly, her son turned pale blue. When he woke up, he seemed entirely devoid of energy. Baby, please don't scare Mama. Baby, what's happening? Hannah sobbed, holding the limp infant. Panicking, she ran to the formal dining room where Rose, Leo, and Eleanor were eating dinner. Help me, Mrs. Vance, please, let's take my son to the hospital. He suddenly went cold and blue. I think he's in pain, he can barely breathe, Hannah cried hysterically. What stupid thing did you do to the baby now? If something happens to Julian, you will answer to all of us. Rose stood up angrily, walking over to check the baby. Leo and Eleanor immediately jumped from their seats. Hurry, Leo, get the SUV, Eleanor commanded, frantically rushing to her grandson. What happened? Leo asked Hannah anxiously. He just started struggling to breathe, turned pale and went cold. Then he started crying weakly. Mrs. Vance, I'm so scared, Hannah trembled, tears streaming down her face. Eleanor comforted Hannah in the back seat of the SUV. She knew Hannah was a fierce woman. She hadn't backed down from Rose, but when it came to her son, she was terrified. Baby Julian was her only weakness. Eleanor, a powerful corporate woman, felt a pang of deep sympathy. She didn't know why Hannah allegedly stole the jewelry, but she couldn't bring herself to throw her out. She loved her grandson too much. Doctor, please save my son. Have mercy, Hannah pleaded with the ER doctors at the elite private hospital. Please try to calm down, ma'am. We are doing everything we can, the doctor replied gently. Julian had been inside the emergency room for hours. They had hooked him up to an oxygen machine. Hannah and Eleanor paced the waiting room while Leo sat quietly in the corner with Rose, who had followed them in a separate car. Finally, the pediatric cardiologist emerged. Hannah rushed forward. Please calm down, Mrs. Vance. Right now, baby Julian is in stable condition. But your son has a congenital heart disease. He has a ventricular septal defect, a very large hole in his heart. He needs pediatric open-heart surgery as soon as possible. before he develops further complications like heart failure or pulmonary hypertension. I suggest we operate as soon as he turns 1. For now, we will manage it with heavy medication, the doctor explained. Oh my God. My baby. Hannah collapsed weakly against the hospital wall, looking up at the ceiling through tear-blurred eyes. She wondered if her immense grief during her pregnancy, mourning Elijah's horrific death, had caused this. She was left a completely orphaned widow, surviving only by the grace of her in-laws. You need to be strong, Hannah. You have to fight this. Your son needs you now more than ever, Leo said softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. Leo is right, Hannah. Don't worry. We are here for you, Eleanor said, unable to stop herself from hugging Hannah. Across the room, Rose seethed with jealousy, watching Leo gently guide Hannah to a chair. She despised seeing Leo anywhere near this woman. Even though she didn't truly love Leo, her possessiveness wouldn't allow him to care for Hannah. Elijah was the one she always wanted, and in that moment, a sick, twisted idea formed in Rose's mind. A plan that would surely get Hannah kicked out of the Vance estate forever, allowing Rose to claim baby Julian as her own. A few days later, the baby was discharged. Hannah was overwhelmingly grateful to Eleanor and Leo, but a harsh slap across the face welcomed her the second she stepped back into the estate. Hannah stumbled back, shocked to see all her and Julian's belongings packed into cheap suitcases in the foyer. Mrs. Vance. What did I do wrong? Hannah asked, bewildered. You've been playing us all for fools, including Elijah. Baby Julian is not my grandson. He is not Elijah's son. Eleanor glared at her with furious eyes. What do you mean Julian is Elijah's son? Hannah replied, completely blindsided. I've doubted you for a long time. Here is the proof. Julian is not related to our family at all. I took a blood sample from the baby at the hospital for a secret DNA test. You have no way out now, Hannah. You tricked Elijah into marrying you, and now my mother and I have exposed your disgusting lies, Rose spat. How could you do this to us, Hannah? I was blinded when you stole from us because I thought of the boy as my grandson. But this betrayal, now leave. Do not expect us to pay a single cent for that bastard's hospital bills or heart surgery. He is not my blood. You are a fraud. Eleanor berated her. Hannah's mind spun. How could Julian not match the Vance DNA? Elijah was the only man she had ever been with in her entire life. She was 100% certain Julian was his. Mrs. Vance, we have nowhere else to go. I am not lying. How can the DNA not match? Elijah was the only man I've ever loved. My conscience is clear. Another brutal slap from Eleanor sent Hannah falling to her knees. Enough of your lies, caught red-handed, and you still deny it. The DNA results state there is a 0% probability of relation. So stop lying before I do something much worse to you, Eleanor hissed through gritted teeth. But, because I still have a shred of pity left for you, Hannah, how about becoming a surrogate mother for us, carry my and Leo's child? In exchange, we will pay for your son's hospitalization and his open-heart surgery. You and your son can stay in the staff quarters. Right, Leo. Rose smiled wickedly at Hannah, then glanced at Leo, who had been completely silent, staring seriously at Hannah. Hannah was speechless. The Vance family were powerful, but up until now she thought they were fair. Now she realized she was being buried under Rose's lies. Hannah suspected the DNA test was entirely faked or Rose had bribed a lab technician. She didn't know what she had ever done to make Rose hate her this much. Well, do you agree or not? If you don't want to, fine. We aren't forcing you, but where are you going to get millions of dollars for your baby's surgery? Rose asked with a sickeningly sweet smile. If you don't agree to Rose's terms, pack your bags right now and take your bastard child with you, Eleanor snapped. Fine. I agree. But you have to keep your end of the deal. You will pay for my son's surgery, Hannah said, bowing her head in total defeat. Good decision, Hannah. Good to see you have half a brain, Rose sneered. Rose's plan to destroy Hannah was a complete success. Best of all, she and Leo finally found a woman to carry their child without Rose ruining her precious body. Once the baby was born, she planned to eliminate Hannah from her life entirely. Hannah would go insane from what Rose had planned next, and if Rose was lucky, Hannah might even end her own life. Months flew by. Hannah's stomach grew large with the pregnancy. Throughout her severe morning sickness, Leo was constantly by her side, checking on her. Until one evening, Rose found another reason to torment her. Rose was hosting a massive, lavish dinner party for her Manhattan socialite friends at the estate. Hannah, what's wrong? Leo asked with concern as Hannah, who was helping the catering staff, suddenly gagged. I can't handle the smell of all this garlic, Leo, she gasped, covering her mouth as a wave of nausea hit her. She ran into the massive chef's kitchen and threw up in the sink. She had been forced to prepare and serve the garlic butter lobster to Rose's friends. Leo gently rubbed her back and quickly poured her a glass of chamomile tea to calm her stomach. But Hannah screamed when Rose stormed into the kitchen and violently grabbed her by the hair. "Let go of my hair." "What is your problem?" Hannah shoved Rose away. "You disrespectful bitch. Throwing up in front of my elite friends. Are you trying to embarrass me?" Rose screamed, lunging at Hannah again. "Rose, what are you doing? Let go of her. She's pregnant. Stop it." Leo ripped Rose's hands off Hannah's shoulders. He looked like he wanted to slap his own wife. "Let go of me, Leo. I am going to teach this gold-digging trash a lesson," Rose shrieked. "She has terrible morning sickness, and you purposely forced her to serve dishes drenched in garlic butter. You know she can't stand the smell right now." "Stop being so unreasonable," Leo yelled back. "Oh, really? So you're taking the maid's side over your own wife?" "I'm not taking sides. I'm telling you to use your narrow mind. She is carrying our child, and you're stressing her out. You could hurt the baby." Leo struggled to hold his thrashing wife back. "Let me go," Rose hissed. Breaking free, she grabbed a heavy glass pitcher of ice water from the counter and hurled the water directly into Hannah's face. "There, that's what you deserve, you slut. You weren't satisfied stealing Elijah from me. Now you're trying to steal my husband," Rose screamed. "What on earth is going on in here?" The room froze. Catherine Sterling, Rose's mother, and a billionaire Manhattan fashion mogul stood in the doorway. She was shocked to see her daughter attacking a soaked pregnant woman. But Catherine was even more stunned by something else. The wet, trembling woman standing before her looked exactly like Catherine did in her 20s. If anyone looked at them, they would assume this was her daughter, not Rose. "Mom, she's seducing my husband. That's Elijah's widow, the former maid I told you about. And now she's going after Leo," Rose whined, running to her mother. "Sweetheart, you are soaking wet. Your face is red. Leo, get her a towel and some ice." Catherine ordered, completely ignoring Rose's tantrum. She walked over and gently touched Hannah's arm. "Rose, what is wrong with you? Is this the surrogate carrying your and Leo's child?" "Mom, she's a homewrecker," Rose insisted. "I think you're just jealous that Leo is actually taking care of her. She is pregnant, Rose, and I saw you force her to serve the lobster. You knew the garlic would make her sick. You did that on purpose. Admit it." "I know you from head to toe," Catherine reprimanded, glaring at her daughter. "Mom, I hate her. She stole Elijah from me." "Rose, you are married to Leo now. Why is Elijah still in your head? He is dead. Let it go and stop torturing his widow. If something happened to her tonight, you'd lose the child she is carrying for you." "Grow up," Catherine lectured. "She's just using the pregnancy to get close to my husband. I could strangle her." Rose clenched her fists. "Enough, Rose. Do you have no shame in front of your mother-in-law? Behave yourself. I did not raise you to act like wild trash. If you didn't want another woman near your husband, you should have carried your own baby." Catherine's eyes flashed with anger. Rose had been spoiled rotten by Catherine and William Sterling. She grew up in absolute luxury and never knew a day of hardship. Catherine let out a deep breath and glanced back at the surrogate mother. She couldn't ignore the strange, undeniable maternal instinct pulling at her chest. Secretly, Catherine managed to pluck a few strands of Hannah's hair from her jacket where it had fallen. She was going to run a secret DNA test. She did not believe for a second that this resemblance was a mere coincidence. Many days passed. The time for Hannah to give birth finally arrived. Coincidentally, it was the exact same day baby Julian was scheduled for his high-risk open-heart surgery. As they wheeled Hannah toward the delivery room, she grabbed Rose's hand. Leo was out of the state on a crucial business trip. "Rose, I am trusting you with baby Julian. Our deal. You promised you would pay the pediatric surgeons," Hannah pleaded through her contractions. "Don't worry. I'll take care of your son. Just focus on delivering safely. I am so excited to finally see my and Leo's baby," Rose declared, her eyes gleaming with a manic excitement. Excitement for the final phase of her twisted plan. "Promise me, Rose. Promise me you won't abandon Julian." "I will owe you my life," Hannah cried. "You have my word, Hannah." "All right, wheel her in," Rose ordered the nurses. A sinister smile crept across Rose's face as the delivery room doors swung shut, listening to Hannah scream in pain. "You deserve to suffer, Hannah. You tried to steal everything from me, so you deserve this. You will never take what is mine. Especially Elijah." With a chilling smirk, Rose walked down the hospital corridor to meet with the cardiothoracic surgeon operating on Julian. "Mrs. Vance, what do you need? I am in a rush. We are about to begin the bypass on your nephew, Dr. Romero said. There is a cashier's check for $5 million in this envelope. I want the surgery to be completely successful, but you will tell everyone the boy died on the table. The baby died during the operation. Dr. Romero Rose commanded coldly. The doctor blanched, stepping back. How can you do this to your sister-in-law, Rose? Don't ask questions. Just do exactly as I say. Declare the boy dead, and that $5 million is yours. I will handle the paperwork and manipulate the records. Just hide the boy. Do we understand each other? Do not forget that my husband's family practically owns this hospital wing. If you cross me, you will know the consequences, doctor. Rose patted the terrified doctor on the shoulder, slipping the envelope into his lab coat pocket, and walked away, leaving him frozen in shock. Cold sweat dripped down Dr. Romero's forehead. His conscience screamed at him, wondering how he could possibly lie to that poor, desperate mother. Hours later, Hannah gave birth to a healthy baby girl, Leo and Rose's child. Leo and Eleanor arrived straight from the airport, their faces lighting up with massive smiles as they held the newborn. But Hannah was filled with dread when she realized Rose wasn't in her recovery room. She forced herself to sit up despite the agonizing pain. "Where is Rose? How is my son? Is the surgery over?" Hannah asked rapidly. While she was in labor, Hannah's only thought was pushing the baby out safely, so she could finally run to check on her Julian. She was confident the doctors would save him. But the room went dead silent. "Mrs. Vance. Leo. Where is Rose and my son?" Hannah repeated, her voice shaking. "Hannah, you need to calm down. You just gave birth. You're bleeding and weak. Rest first. When you're stable, I'll take you to him," Leo said softly. But Hannah immediately recognized the deep sorrow in his voice and the pity in his eyes. Her heart plummeted into her stomach. "What happened?" Hannah demanded, staring at him while Eleanor looked down at the floor, tears silently rolling down the older woman's cheeks. "Tell me what happened. Why won't you answer me, Hannah? Julian is dead." There were sudden massive complications during the bypass. "Leo, Mom, we couldn't hide it from her," Rose said, feigning breathlessness as she walked into the room holding a small decorative urn. It felt as though the sky had collapsed and crushed Hannah. She couldn't breathe. She refused to believe the words coming out of Rose's mouth. "The doctor promised me. He promised me Julian would be fine. He said the success rate was high. I don't believe you. You're all liars." Hannah ripped the IV line out of her arm, blood dripping down her wrist as she swung her legs out of the hospital bed. "Hannah, you can't stand up," Leo yelled, trying to hold her down. "Leave me alone. I am going to find my son. Julian Mama is coming." She shoved Leo backward, but the moment she took a step, the room spun violently. "Leo." "My baby," Hannah whispered before her eyes rolled back and she collapsed into Leo's arms, completely unconscious. "I told you not to tell her about Julian yet," Leo roared furiously at his wife while Eleanor frantically pressed the emergency call button for the doctors. The overwhelming grief broke Hannah's body and mind. Because she had just given birth, the shock was too much for her system to handle. When she eventually woke up, Rose handed her the small urn, claiming she had the baby cremated immediately to save Hannah, the trauma of seeing a tiny corpse. Hannah clung to the urn, weeping until she had no voice left. In the following days, Hannah became a hollow shell of herself, staring blankly at the hospital walls. She was still too weak to be discharged. Then one afternoon she saw something impossible. Elijah walked past the glass window of her hospital room. Hannah sat up, her heart pounding against her ribs. She wasn't hallucinating. It was Elijah. Dragging her IV pole, her body trembling with weakness, she followed him down the hall. She crept toward a private VIP suite and peeked through the cracked door. What she saw shattered reality. "Babe, you're here. Look, baby Julian is recovering so fast. The doctor said we can fly him out of the country by tomorrow," Rose said with a bright smile. "Are you sure Hannah believed you that our son is dead?" Elijah asked, wrapping his arms around Rose's waist. "She refuses to let go of the cheap urn I bought at a gift shop. She truly believes Julian's ashes are in there," Rose laughed, kissing Elijah's neck. "That's good love. Don't worry. Once this is all over, I'll marry you. We will take over Vance Enterprises from Leo, and the three of us, you, me, and Julian, will finally be free." Elijah smiled, kissing the tip of Rose's nose. "I almost feel bad for Hannah. Mourning a child she thought was hers, Rose feigned a pout. She deserves it. She played with my heart. And Leo's. She deserves every ounce of pain she's suffering today. For all her lies, for her affair with my own brother, and most of all for trying to have me murdered for the company. It was a blessing you convinced her to be the surrogate for Julian, thinking he was ours. Thank God you opened my eyes, Rose, Elijah said coldly. Hannah clamped her hands over her mouth to muffle her scream. Through her entire pregnancy with Julian, she had been carrying Rose and Elijah's child. They had harvested her eggs. No. Rose had used her own embryo. And worst of all, Elijah believed she was the one who sabotaged his car brakes. For a whole year, Rose and Elijah had played them all. Elijah thought Hannah and Leo were having an affair and plotting to kill him. Hannah backed away from the door, her world spinning into absolute madness. I almost died of grief last week when I thought I lost my son, but it was all a lie. You monsters. Especially you, Rose. Hannah wiped the tears violently from her face. You will pay for everything you did to me. I don't know what I ever did to you, Rose, to deserve this evil. Hannah turned and ran out of the hospital. She didn't care where she was going. All that mattered was getting far away from these psychopaths so she could rebuild herself. So she could stand on her own 2 feet. And then she would return to rip away everything Rose loved and shove her lies down her throat. How could you, Elijah? I endured every humiliation just to be with you because I loved you. But you believed a lie. You believed I was a murderer, Hannah sobbed, wildly wandering onto the busy Manhattan streets like a drunkard. She was dizzy, bleeding, and weak. Pedestrians screamed as Hannah stumbled off the curb directly into the path of an oncoming black SUV. The heavy vehicle slammed into her, throwing her onto the pavement. Blood pooled around her head. Oh my God, William, you hit someone, Catherine Sterling screamed at her husband in horror. I didn't mean to, Catherine. She just walked right into the street. Come on, help me get her in the car. We're taking her to the ER, William yelled, jumping out of the driver's seat. The wealthy couple rushed to the bleeding woman. Catherine gasped, falling to her knees when she saw the face. Hannah. William, it's our daughter. It's Hannah. She's the woman I took the DNA sample from. She's our real daughter. William, hurry, Catherine sobbed in terror. They rushed her to Mount Sinai, a different hospital far away from where Rose and the Vances held power. William was deeply confused, but he wasn't stupid. Given Rose's psychotic, erratic behavior over the years, he had often wondered if she was truly his blood. Relax, Catherine. The top trauma surgeons are with her. But how is this possible? I was in the delivery room. You only gave birth to one baby. How can Hannah be our daughter and who the hell is Rose? William asked frantically. Oh, you haven't seen the results yet. I had Rose's DNA tested too. She is 0% a match to us, William. The first moment I saw Hannah at that dinner party, I felt it in my soul. I felt the maternal pull. I didn't believe it was just a coincidence. She looked exactly like me. Catherine cried, her hands shaking. Then how did we end up raising a child that isn't ours? I don't know yet, but I hired the best private investigators in the city to dig into Hannah's life, her family, her past. I'm waiting for the report, but mark my words, we will find out who did this, Catherine vowed. Rose has committed so many sins, Catherine. And now finding out she isn't even ours. I feel like a parasite has been pulled out of my skin. William shook his head in disgust. I regret ever tolerating her obsessive behavior toward the Vance boys. She destroyed lives for a sick obsession. I am going to fix Rose's mistakes, Catherine. I am going to teach her a lesson she will never ever forget. William promised, watching through the glass as doctors fought to save Hannah's life. 2 months passed since Hannah vanished. No one knew where she went. The hospital's security footage showed her stumbling out of the lobby, pale and delirious. Meanwhile, Leo's head was spinning with the chaos Rose was causing. Her true colors were fully showing. She didn't even bother looking at the baby girl Hannah had delivered. Eleanor was the only one caring for baby Natasha. I can't believe you would do this to me, Rose, Leo hissed, clenching his fists as he watched the estate security footage. I can't believe it either, Leo. But I saw it with my own 2 eyes. She was making out with a man inside a parked car at the edge of the estate. I just couldn't see the guy's face in the dark, Eleanor reported, bouncing baby Natasha on her hip. She had caught Rose cheating just the other night. What she didn't know was that the man in the shadows was her own dead son, Elijah. Later that day, a guilt-ridden maid approached Eleanor. Mrs. Vance, forgive me, but my conscience can't take it anymore. Hannah never stole from you. Rose orchestrated the whole thing. She planted the jewelry. I'm so sorry I lied to you. I was just desperate for cash, and Rose bribed me heavily to frame Hannah, Donna confessed, crying. Why on earth would she do that to Hannah? Eleanor gasped. I don't know, ma'am. But she despised her. She kept telling us Hannah was a slut who seduced Mr. Elijah. Donna whispered. Mom, I don't know what to do about Rose anymore. Look at the time. She hasn't come home. And Vance Enterprises is bleeding money. Leo rubbed his temples in exhaustion. Get some sleep, son. I'll watch over baby Natasha. You have to face the board of directors tomorrow. The company crisis is getting worse. Yes, Mom. And I'm still so worried about Hannah. My private investigators haven't found a single trace of her, Leo said sadly. Meanwhile, inside the ultra-luxurious Sterling penthouse in Manhattan, William and Catherine were seething with absolute rage. They had just uncovered the ultimate betrayal by their former housekeeper, Claire. The private investigators' report confirmed everything. Rose was the biological daughter of Claire, their maid. Claire had given birth in the same charity ward of the hospital during a massive blackout the night Catherine went into labor. Claire switched the babies. To ensure her biological daughter was raised well, Claire managed to get hired as a nanny, housekeeper for the Sterlings to watch Rose grow up in luxury. Meanwhile, she dumped her real daughter Hannah with her elderly mother Betty to be raised in poverty. Thankfully, Hannah survived the car crash. She woke up after being in a coma for 2 months. And when she awoke, Catherine and William told her the entire truth about her identity. Smack, you had the audacity to swap my baby with your trash. Catherine delivered a vicious backhand to Claire's face in the center of the penthouse living room. My entire life, I asked myself why I never felt an ounce of love from you, Mom. Now I know. You were never my mother, Hannah glared, her fists shaking. How could you do this to us, Claire? Why? William roared. Why wouldn't I? Claire yelled back, crying. I saw the perfect opportunity for my daughter to be filthy rich, to never experience the starvation I did. My husband was an abusive drunk. We lived in absolute squalor. Then, by chance, Mrs. Sterling and I went into labor on the same night. It was my one chance to change my daughter's destiny. So I did it, you animal. Catherine slapped Claire again, knocking the older woman to the floor. Rose is going to pay for what you did. You will both suffer. What are you going to do, Hannah? Please don't hurt Rose. She is innocent in all of this. Claire begged on her knees. Innocent. Innocent of destroying my marriage to Elijah. Innocent of almost having him murdered and framing Me for the crime. Innocent of stealing the baby I carried. And she hated me from the start because she somehow found out I was the real Sterling heiress. Is that what you call innocent, Hannah? Screamed, stepping forward and grabbing Claire by her collar. You will watch exactly what I do to your precious daughter, Claire. Hannah smiled darkly. She had endured a lifetime of abuse under Claire. Only her grandmother Betty had loved her. When Betty died, Claire pulled Hannah out of high school and forced her to work as a maid to survive. Please, Hannah, I raised you. You owe me your life. You should be grateful I didn't throw you in a dumpster. Claire spat venomously. You are delusional. Raised me how Grandma raised me. You abandoned me, while your daughter lived like a princess in my parents' home. Do you really think I owe you anything? Your daughter owes me my life and I am going to collect. Hannah dragged Claire by the hair. With the help of the Sterling security guards, they dragged the screaming woman down to the estate's old stone dog kennels on the property grounds. You will stay in this cage until I am finished destroying Rose. And when I'm done with her, I will personally hand you over to the feds so you can rot in federal prison for kidnapping and fraud, Hannah stated coldly. Hannah, have mercy. Don't do this. I am your mother, Claire wailed as the iron gate slammed shut. Don't worry, Claire. Rose will be joining you behind bars very soon. I already have the evidence of her trying to murder Elijah. Hannah turned her back and walked away. The next morning, inside the glass-walled boardroom of Vance Enterprises, Leo was sweating profusely. The company was facing bankruptcy because tens of millions of dollars had been embezzled by Rose. She had been missing for days and Leo had no way to cover the stolen funds. It's best you step down as CEO, Leo, if you cannot manage the company's finances, one of the senior board members sneered. Mr. Cruz, give me 1 month to recover the stolen assets. I swear I will save this company, Leo pleaded. And how are you going to do that, brother, when you have zero capital to save us? I think this is the perfect time for me to step in as CEO. I have the offshore funds to save our empire. The entire boardroom gasped as the double doors swung open. Elijah and Rose strutted into the room arm in arm. You're alive, Leo shouted, staggering back in shock. Yes, brother. Very much alive. Thankfully, Rose saved me the day you tried to have me blown to pieces in that car, Elijah smirked. Where have you been? Do you have any idea how much Mom suffered? How much Hannah suffered? Leo yelled. A sarcastic, dark laugh escaped Elijah's lips. He walked right up to his brother and punched Leo square in the jaw. Leo stumbled, holding his bleeding lip. "What is your problem, Elijah?" Leo roared. "Did you really think I was stupid enough not to figure it out? You and Hannah plotted my murder so I would be out of the way. So you two could have your sick little affair without me in the picture, and so you wouldn't have to share the CEO title with me," Elijah shouted. Leo clenched his fists. This absolute garbage coming out of Elijah's mouth had Rose's signature all over it. How could his brother be so blindingly stupid to fall for a woman like Rose? From day one, everyone knew Rose was obsessed with Elijah. "Did you hire a bad Hollywood screenwriter for this, me and Hannah? Are you joking? You don't know that woman at all. I should ask you, is that really the kind of woman you think Hannah is?" Leo fired back. "I didn't think so before. But after I found out you two had a child together while I was supposedly dead, I knew exactly what kind of gold-digging whore she was," Elijah spat. Elijah didn't see the right hook coming. Leo punched his brother so hard, Elijah crashed onto the boardroom table. Leo couldn't stomach hearing Hannah insulted like this, after all the torture she had survived. "Elijah! Leo, are you crazy?" Rose shrieked, running to help Elijah up. "You see, love, he violently attacks you just to defend that maid. Imagine what they did behind your back," Rose yelled, pouring gasoline on the fire. "You completely immoral witch. You poisoned his brain. That baby wasn't ours, Natasha. Is your baby, you psycho. You and me, Hannah, was just the surrogate. She carried the baby in exchange for money to pay for Julian's heart surgery. You forced her." Leo exposed the truth to the entire room. Elijah froze. He slowly turned to look at Leo. "Are you lying to me?" "Why the hell would I lie to you, Elijah? Do you really believe I'm a greedy murderer? Then take the damn company. Keep the assets. I don't care about the money. All I care about is finding Hannah and raising my daughter. Because this psycho wife of mine doesn't have a maternal bone in her body," Leo yelled. "Elijah, he's lying. Believe me, I saved you from that explosion." Rose panicked, grabbing Elijah's arm. "Oh, you definitely saved him, Rose. Because Elijah wasn't the target that day. Leo was. You just had bad luck because Leo lent Elijah his SUV that morning without you knowing. You stupid girl." The boardroom doors opened again. The room descended into stunned silence as Hannah walked in, flanked by William and Catherine Sterling, Manhattan's most powerful billionaires. Hannah was dressed in a pristine designer suit, exuding raw power and elegance. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing here with that maid?" Rose asked, her voice trembling as she looked Hannah up and down. Instead of answering, Catherine marched forward, grabbed Rose by her extensions and yanked her down. "You animal, you fraud, you are just like your psychotic mother. You are going to pay for every lie you've spun," Catherine screamed, slapping Rose across the face so hard the sound echoed off the glass walls. "Stop, Catherine, what is your problem?" "Why are you hurting, Rose?" Elijah tried to pull Catherine away. "That girl is not our daughter. She is the child of our housekeeper. That woman swapped our babies. Hannah is the true Sterling heiress." William's voice boomed with terrifying authority. "And when this pathetic fraud found out, she made Hannah's life a living hell to eliminate her." "What the hell is this?" Rose. Elijah spun around, glaring at the woman cowering behind him. "That is the truth, Elijah. And you absolute idiot. I trusted you with my heart, and you believed I was sleeping with Leo. Where is your proof?" Deepfake videos. Photoshop security images she paid some dark web hacker to make. Hannah laughed mockingly, slamming a thick file folder onto the mahogany table. It contained the original metadata, proving the photos were fake, the bank transfers from Rose to the hacker, and the wire transfer paying the mechanic to cut the brakes on the SUV. Elijah's face drained of all color as he flipped through the documents. He had been played. He had thrown away the love of his life for a lie. And how about you, Elijah? How did you betray me? You let me believe baby Julian was my son when he was actually your and Rose's embryo. And you just used me as a human incubator. You weren't satisfied playing dead. You made me carry your bastard child just to hurt me. I carried a child that wasn't mine twice. What do you think? I am a breeding pig. Hannah screamed, her eyes blazing with fury as she marched up to Rose. That's not true. Elijah, Julian was yours and Leo's. She's lying. Rose sobbed, shaking her head frantically. Really, Rose, I have the agency contracts and the DNA results right here. Natasha is my and Rose's daughter. Julian was yours and Elijah's. Leo interjected coldly. And the feds already have the mechanic in custody who cut the brakes. He confessed you paid him to burn a stolen cadaver in the wreckage so we'd find a body. You really went all out to buy a corpse, didn't you? Hannah smirked. Shut up. I should have killed you the day my mother told me you were the real Sterling heiress. I should have buried you before any of this happened. Rose shrieked, her mask completely shattering. She lunged at Hannah with her manicured claws, but Leo intercepted her, shoving Rose hard to the floor. Well, tough luck, Rose. You didn't use your brain. With all the evil plotting you did, you forgot the most important rule. Always eliminate the actual threat. You never saw this coming, did you? Hannah laughed darkly. She knelt down, grabbed Rose's chin, and delivered a brutal slap. One slap for stealing my life. Smack another for destroying my marriage. Smack one for framing me for theft. Smack and one for making me mourn a child that wasn't mine. You monsters. Hannah stood up. Reaching into her designer blazer, she pulled out a sleek silver handgun and aimed it directly at Rose's head. The board of directors shrieked. Men in expensive suits scrambled over chairs, running out of the boardroom in sheer terror, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire of this billionaire blood feud. Mom, Dad, help me, Elijah, please, Rose screamed, crying hysterically as the cold steel barrel pressed against her forehead. You deserve to die, Rose. You deserve a bullet for what you did to my mind and my body. Hannah, give me the gun. I will kill this parasite myself. Catherine stepped forward gently, taking the weapon from Hannah's hands. Mom, you can't. You loved me. You raised me, Mom, Rose begged, crawling backward. Bang! Rose screamed in agony, clutching her head. The bullet had grazed her right earlobe, completely blowing off the cartilage and her expensive diamond earring. Blood poured down her neck. I missed, honey. Next time the bullet goes right between your eyes, Catherine said icily. Let me do it, Mom. My hands are itching to finish her, Hannah said, grabbing the gun back and racking the slide. Hannah, don't. Don't dirty your hands with this trash's blood. Let her rot in a federal penitentiary and pay for her crimes, Leo said, softly stepping between Hannah and Rose. He carefully took the gun from Hannah's hands and engaged the safety. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. It wasn't my fault. It was Claire's fault. I didn't know Hannah was your daughter until later, Rose sobbed, kneeling in a pool of her own blood before William and Catherine. If you were a good person, you would have told us the truth the moment you found out. But instead, you chose to torture our real daughter. You chose to be evil, Rose Williams said, with absolute disgust looking down at her. She chose to be evil because she has the exact same rotten blood as her mother, Claire, Hannah added coldly. I was just terrified of losing everything. I was scared of losing the money, of losing you, and she had already stolen Elijah from me. I couldn't let her take you too, Rose cried. Officers, come in and take this woman away. Keep a close eye on her, she's a flight risk, William called out to the NYPD detectives waiting in the hall. Mom, Dad, please, I'm your daughter, Rose shrieked as the handcuffs clicked tightly around her wrists. Love, Elijah, help me. She looked at Elijah, but he looked at her with pure revulsion and stepped back. I was an absolute idiot to believe your lies, Rose. Take her away, detective. As the police dragged a screaming, bleeding Rose out of the building, Elijah slowly turned to Hannah. Hannah. Please forgive me, Elijah, whispered, stepping toward her. He reached out to touch her arm, but she flinched and stepped back as if he were diseased. I will never forgive you, Elijah. We are getting a divorce. I don't need a weak, easily manipulated man in my life. You don't deserve my love, and you never did. Hannah stated, her voice like ice. I was wrong, Hannah. We can start over. We can fix this. As I said, I will never forgive you. And there is no going back. Sign the divorce papers my parents' lawyers sent you, Hannah replied, turning to leave. What about Julian? My son won't have a mother, Hannah Elijah pleaded, blocking her path. That's not my problem, Elijah. Maybe you can visit Rose in federal prison so you can have happy family visitations. After all, you two are the ones who embezzled Leo's company funds, aren't you, Hannah? Delivered a sarcastic, cutting smile. Elijah's shoulders slumped in total defeat as Hannah walked out the door, her powerful parents flanking her. Leo stood by the table, his jaw clenched, staring down at his younger brother. Leo, I'm so sorry, Elijah whispered, looking at the floor. Let's go home and settle the corporate mess you created, Leo said coldly. Hannah and Elijah's divorce was finalized quickly. Left with no options, Elijah signed the papers when the Sterling legal team threatened to bury him in criminal charges for the embezzlement. 5 years later. Life was finally peaceful. Claire and Rose were serving decades in a maximum security federal prison. Hannah, after finishing her Ivy League education, had taken over as the CEO of the Sterling fashion and real estate empire. Elijah had moved to Europe with his son Julian to start a quiet life, far away from the ruin he had caused in New York. And over those 5 years, Leo had never stopped pursuing Hannah. He had divorced Rose long ago, and through his unwavering support and kindness, Hannah couldn't stop herself from falling in love with him. Their Hamptons wedding was scheduled for next week. Mommy little Natasha screamed, running across the lush green grass of Central Park toward Hannah. "Tasha, slow down, you're going to trip," Leo yelled, chasing his 5-year-old daughter with a laugh. "Tasha, careful baby," Hannah laughed, catching the little girl and swinging her into a tight hug. "You are so energetic today," she affectionately pinched Natasha's rosy cheeks. Even though Natasha wasn't biologically hers, Hannah loved her fiercely. She had carried the girl in her womb for 9 months after all. She felt the same way about Julian. If Elijah hadn't taken him, she would have raised him as her own too. The children were completely innocent of Rose's sins. "How was your day at the Sterling Tower?" Leo asked warmly as he sat next to her on the park bench. "Exhausting, but seeing this little troublemaker makes it all go away." Hannah ruffled Natasha's hair. "Am I not part of your stress relief?" Leo pouted playfully. "Of course you are. Whose shoulder am I leaning on right now?" She rolled her eyes playfully at the man who was now smiling widely. "I just missed you, Hannah." "I'm right here, Leo." "I missed you too." Hannah smiled and leaned in, kissing him softly. Leo was the only man who had never believed Rose's lies. He had trusted her, protected her, and proven himself to be a genuinely good man through every storm. Over the years, Hannah's heart had healed, and it belonged entirely to him. Not too far away, standing beneath the shade of an oak tree, Elijah adjusted his dark sunglasses to hide the tears welling in his eyes. It was him who should have been sitting on that bench with Hannah laughing and in love, if only he hadn't been foolish enough to believe a lie. He and Julian had just flown back to the States to attend his older brother and his ex-wife's wedding. It was agonizing, but Elijah knew he had to accept his fate. He was not the man who deserved Hannah's heart. And that is where our story ends for today. We hope you enjoyed this tale and the lessons it brought. Thank you for your continued support.